Elias woke before sunrise every day. The cold wind bit at his face as he walked across the cracked metal floor of the old outpost. In the distance, the mountains rose like frozen waves, and the sky was painted with soft pinks and golds. Every morning he carried a small basket of food, scraps, warm nutrient packs and water, to a creature that no one wanted. The dragon lay in the shadows of a broken hangar. Its scales were dull and scarred, and its wings were folded tightly against its sides. Most people on the colony said it was useless now, old and weak. They called it a relic of the past, a dangerous animal no one should care about. But Elias saw something else. He saw tired eyes that still held fire, a heart that still beat with pride. When he approached, the dragon lifted its head slowly. It let out a small hiss, more like a sigh than a warning. Elias knelt on the floor, placing the food just out of reach of its claws. "Good morning," he said softly. "I brought you breakfast." He smiled, though the wind made it hard to keep warm. The dragon blinked at him once, then lowered its head to eat. No one else came near. Most people were afraid. Some said it might be dangerous. Some said it might be cursed. But Elias didn't think like that. To him, it was just another living being who needed help. Every day he came, every day he fed it, and every day he talked to it. "Did you sleep well last night?" he asked one morning. The dragon made a soft rumbling sound in its throat, like it was answering. Elias laughed quietly. I know, the nights are cold. But I'll keep bringing you food. You won't be alone." He did not know that far above him, hidden in the clouds, watchers were observing. Alien guards in silver suits and lawyers with strange devices were studying him. Every move, every word, every kind action was recorded. They were watching to see how a human would treat an old dragon. They whispered to each other through glowing screens, debating his behavior. The dragon, whose name was Virexa, was not just any dragon. Once, long ago, she had been a ruler of her people, wise and strong. Now she was forgotten, left behind in a world that no longer cared for her. But she had noticed Elias. She had noticed his warmth, his patience, and his courage. Most humans ignored her, or worse, tried to destroy her. Elias was different. One morning, as Elias approached with his basket, the dragon stirred more than usual. Its wings stretched slightly and it rose on trembling legs. Elias froze, unsure if it would attack. But the dragon only stepped closer, its eyes glowing softly in the morning light. It sniffed the basket, then nudged him gently with its snout. Elias laughed. "Careful, big girl. You'll knock me over." He set down the basket and sat on the floor. The dragon lowered itself so that its massive head was near him. Elias reached out and scratched behind its ear, where the scales were thinner and warmer. The dragon closed its eyes, and for the first time in many years, it seemed at peace. Elias smiled, feeling the connection. He didn't know it, but this simple act, this small kindness, was being watched by more eyes than he could imagine. Days passed in the same quiet way. Elias fixed broken restraints, cleaned the area around the dragon, and brought her food. Sometimes he spoke about simple things, the sunrise, the smell of the mountains, or stories of humans who had done brave things. The dragon listened, not just with its ears, but with its mind, understanding more than Elias realized. One day, a small rock fell from the ceiling of the hangar, clattering near Elias's feet. The dragon moved quickly, stepping between him and the falling debris, protecting him with its massive body. Elias froze, eyes wide. You saved me?" he whispered. The dragon made a soft, rumbling noise in its throat, and Elias realized that she cared for him as much as he cared for her. That night, as the stars lit the sky, Elias sat outside the hangar and looked at the mountains. He thought about the dragon, about how much he liked her, and how much he wanted to see her safe. He did not know that far above, the alien lawyers were making notes, and the guards were sending signals. Elias had passed the first test, though he did not know there was a test. The dragon, lying in the shadows, watched him too. Her old eyes, filled with wisdom and memory, followed every movement. She had waited a long time for someone like this, someone who would care without asking for anything in return. And now, finally, she had found him. Elias did not sleep well that night. He was too excited to see the dragon in the morning. But he did not know that tomorrow, everything would change. He only knew one thing for sure. He would return as he always did, to feed the dragon, talk to her, and sit by her side. And in that quiet, frozen place at the edge of the world, a bond was forming, one that would change not only Elias's life but the fate of the stars themselves. Elias woke before sunrise again, carrying his basket of food. The mountains were quiet, and the cold wind whispered across the frozen rocks. The hangar where the dragon rested looked darker now, but Elias didn't feel afraid. He had learned her ways, her small habits, and her quiet movements. Every morning he came, every morning he talked, and every morning she waited. As he approached, the dragon lifted her massive head. Her eyes glowed softly in the dim light, and she let out a low rumble that Elias had learned meant, "Good morning." He placed the food carefully on the ground and knelt beside her. "How are you today?" he asked. She nudged the basket with her snout, making a small growl. Elias laughed softly. "I guess that's a yes. Hungry, huh?" Elias did not know that high above him, in a cloaked ship hidden in the clouds, alien guards were watching. They were tall and silver-skinned, with long fingers that moved across strange devices. Lawyers were there too, wearing flowing robes that shimmered like metal. Every action Elias made, every word he spoke was recorded. They whispered in their own language, debating him. "This human," one lawyer said, voice cold and precise, "does not act like the others. Most would ignore her. Most would take advantage." The guards nodded, their eyes scanning the dragon carefully. "Yes, but his kindness may be dangerous. He is too unpredictable." Elias worked quietly. He noticed the dragon had shifted slightly, and some of her restraints were broken. Without thinking, he used his tools to fix them, tightening the ropes so she could move safely. "There. That should help," he said. The dragon blinked at him slowly, then lowered her head to sniff his hand. Elias smiled. "See? You're safe now." The lawyers and guards watched this carefully. They whispered to each other. "Observe her reaction," one said. "She is testing him even if he does not see it." The dragon, whose name was Virexa, was indeed testing him. She had lived for centuries, ruling her people and surviving wars that had burned entire worlds. Now she was alone, chained, and weak in the eyes of many. But Elias did not treat her like a weapon or a relic. He treated her like a living being. That mattered more than she could explain. Days passed. Elias spoke to her about many things: the mountains, the sunrise, the stories humans told around fires. He told her about simple acts of kindness, about helping friends, and even about mistakes he had made. Virexa listened. She could feel his words in her mind as humans could not hear, and she began to trust him more. One morning, a sudden windstorm blew across the outpost. Small rocks fell from the hangar roof, and a heavy metal beam shifted dangerously. Elias froze, unsure what to do. But before he could move, Virexa stepped between him and the falling beam. Her massive body absorbed the impact. She let out a low growl, then gently pushed him back. Elias gasped. You saved me again," he whispered. The dragon's eyes softened, and she lowered her head as if to say, "I trust you." The watchers above took notes. "He does not fear her," one guard said. "He treats her as equal. That is rare among humans." The lawyers nodded. "And that is exactly what the council wants to see. Kindness, patience, understanding. Not fear or greed." Elias spent hours cleaning the hangar, repairing broken walls, and making the place safer for Virexa. He even brought blankets and pads so she could rest more comfortably. The dragon moved closer to him each time he approached, nuzzling his shoulder and letting him scratch behind her ears. He laughed quietly. "You're getting soft in your old age," he said. She rumbled softly in response. Sometimes Elias would sit outside the hangar at night watching the stars. He did not know the watchers above were seeing him too. The lawyers debated. If he continues this way, he may influence her decisions. He may become bonded. Virexa had waited for a long time for someone like Elias. Many had ignored her, many had tried to use her for power, and many had feared her. But this human was different. He did not see her as a tool. He did not see her as a relic. He saw her as a friend. That thought alone warmed her ancient heart. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, Elias noticed the dragon lifting her head and staring at the horizon. He felt a strange warmth in his chest. "Do you miss your old home?" he asked softly. The dragon rumbled, a sound full of memory and sorrow. Elias placed his hand on her snout. "It's okay. You're safe now. I'll stay." The alien guards and lawyers exchanged glances. "He will pass the final test," one said quietly. "But we must continue to watch." Elias smiled at Virexa. "You don't have to be afraid anymore," he whispered. "Not with me here." And for the first time in many years, Virexa felt hope. She had waited centuries for someone like him. Someone who could see her not as a dragon, not as a weapon, not as a relic, but as a living being. The bond between Elias and Virexa grew quietly day by day. And though Elias did not know it, the smallest acts of kindness, fixing her restraints, bringing her food, talking to her softly, were shaping the future of more than just one human and one dragon. They were shaping the judgment of an entire galaxy. And far above, in the silent clouds, the Watchers continued their careful observation, knowing that the test had begun. A test that no one had told Elias existed. A test that would determine whether humans could be trusted with more than just planets. Elias, as always, returned the next morning carrying his basket, unaware that the galaxy itself was watching him, and that the dragon he cared for was far more powerful and important than anyone could have guessed. Elias woke early as he always did. The sky was pale with the first light of day, and the cold wind carried the faint smell of snow and metal. He tightened his coat and picked up the basket of food. Today something felt different. He did not know why, but the air seemed heavier, almost alive. When he reached the hangar, the dragon was already awake. Her massive eyes glowed faintly in the morning light, and she shifted on the floor so that her head was nearer to him. Elias smiled. "Good morning," he said softly, placing the basket down. The dragon sniffed at the food and then looked up at him. For a moment, it seemed like she was trying to speak. High above, the alien Watchers whispered urgently. "She is ready to reveal herself," one said. "The human has passed the early tests. Now we will see if he can handle the truth." The lawyers and guards had been watching for years, carefully observing every human who came near Virexa. Many had failed, showing greed, fear, or cruelty. Elias had done none of these things. He had shown patience, kindness, and respect. That was more than most humans could manage. As Elias cleaned the hangar, fixing broken boards and sweeping away dust, the dragon's eyes followed him. Then slowly she spoke. Not with words that humans could hear, but in a voice that reached Elias in his mind. It was soft, like a gentle wind, but strong enough that he could feel it. "You care for me without fear," the voice said. Elias froze, his hand on a piece of metal. You can hear me?" he whispered. The dragon tilted her head, and a small rumble of agreement came from her throat. Elias stepped back, unsure if he should respond. I didn't know dragons could speak like this," he said carefully. Virexa's voice filled his mind again. "I have waited centuries for someone like you. You treat me as a living being, not a weapon or a relic." Elias swallowed. His heart beat fast. I just wanted to help. You looked hurt and alone. I thought you needed a friend." Far above, the alien Watchers gasped. The lawyers whispered urgently. "This human may be bonded to her," one said. "If so, he will influence her choices, and she is not an ordinary dragon. She is Virexa, the last dragon sovereign." Elias had no idea who she was. He only knew that she seemed wise, strong, and proud even in her weakened state. "Dragon sovereign?" he asked. What does that mean?" Virexa's glowing eyes met his. "Long ago my kind ruled the stars. I was a leader, a protector, a guide. But the galaxy forgot us. I was left behind, chained, alone. Most humans fear me. Most aliens try to control me. But you see me as I am." Elias felt a mixture of awe and fear. He took a step closer. I don't know what to say. I'm just me. A simple human trying to do what's right." Virexa lowered her massive head, resting it gently near his shoulder. "That is enough," she said in her mind. "Your actions speak louder than words. You have shown the courage and kindness my people once respected." The alien Watchers were silent for a moment, stunned. "This is unprecedented," one lawyer whispered. "A human bonded to Virexa. The council will be shocked." Elias did not care about the council or the Watchers. All he knew was that the dragon in front of him was not just an animal. She was intelligent, ancient, and full of memories of a time when dragons ruled the stars. And she trusted him. He reached out, touching her smooth, warm scales. "I won't hurt you. I promise," he whispered. The dragon rumbled softly, leaning into his hand. For the first time in centuries she felt safe. Days passed and Elias continued his care. He brought food, cleaned the hangar, and talked to her softly. Each day Virexa revealed more of herself. Stories of past wars, ancient diplomacy, and lessons that had shaped entire civilizations. Elias listened with wonder, feeling small and unworthy, yet honored to be part of her world. One evening, as the sun dipped below the mountains, Elias noticed strange lights in the sky. Ships he had never seen before hovered silently above the outpost. The alien guards and lawyers had come closer, observing every movement. But this time they did not interfere. They only watched, waiting. Virexa spoke in his mind again. "The Watchers are here. They wish to judge you to see if humanity is worthy. You do not know it, but your kindness has already passed their first trials. Soon the real test will begin." Elias felt a mix of excitement and fear. Test? What test? He asked. The dragon's eyes glowed brighter. The test of trust, patience, and heart. The fate of many may rest on your choices. But know this, the council will see what I have seen. You are different. Elias sat down beside her, placing a hand on her enormous head. I don't know if I'm ready for anything like that, he whispered. I only know I want to help you. I want to be here. Virexa's voice was gentle, full of centuries of wisdom. Then that is enough for now. Stay with me, human. Learn from me and teach me of your world. Together we may change what others think of humanity. That night, as the stars shone cold and bright, Elias thought about the dragon and the watchers above. He did not yet understand the full importance of what he had done, but he felt hope. And Virexa, lying beside him, felt a warmth she had not known for centuries, the warmth of trust, care, and a bond that might shape the future of the galaxy. The morning sun rose slowly over the frozen mountains, painting the sky with soft gold and pink. Elias walked to the hangar with his usual basket of food. The wind was sharper today, carrying the scent of snow and metal. He tightened his coat and hurried along the cracked floor, eager to reach Virexa. When he arrived, the dragon was already awake. Her massive eyes followed him, glowing faintly in the light. She lowered her head slightly, a quiet greeting. Elias smiled and placed the food near her. Good morning, he said softly. Did you sleep well? Virexa gave a soft rumble as if answering. Elias did not know that far above the hangar, in the clouds, dozens of ships hovered silently. The alien council had arrived. They were beings of light and metal, their faces hidden behind shimmering masks. Lawyers and guards observed every movement below. They had debated for centuries about whether humans could be trusted, and now they were here to see the result of Elias' choices. The council's leader, a tall being with eyes that glowed like twin suns, spoke to the others. The human has acted with patience, courage, and kindness. He has not feared her, and he has not sought to use her. This is rare among his kind. One of the lawyers nodded. Yes, and the dragon's response is clear. She trusts him. She has chosen him without coercion. It is time to allow the next stage of judgment. Elias, unaware of the ships above, continued talking to Virexa. I brought your breakfast. I hope you like it, he said. She lowered her massive head closer to him and nuzzled his shoulder gently. Elias laughed quietly. You're getting bold, he whispered. Suddenly the ground beneath the hangar shook slightly. Dust fell from the ceiling and Elias froze. He looked up, startled, but Virexa stood tall and calm. Her presence was powerful, even in her old age. She rumbled softly as if reassuring him. The council watched carefully. She is preparing him, one said. He does not yet understand the full extent of his influence, but he will. Elias spent the day cleaning, repairing, and talking to Virexa. He fixed broken beams, cleared debris, and even brought blankets for her to rest on. The dragon responded by moving closer, letting him touch her, leaning against him with quiet trust. As evening approached, a bright light appeared in the sky. The alien council projected their images in holographic form before Elias. At first he froze, unsure what he was seeing. The figures spoke in a calm, echoing voice. Human, said the leader, your actions have been observed. You have shown what your kind can do when fear and greed are set aside. You have treated Virexa, the last dragon sovereign, with respect and care. For this we acknowledge you. Elias blinked in surprise. Acknowledge me? I just fed her and helped her. That's all, he said, his voice shaking slightly. Virexa stepped forward, her massive form towering over Elias and the projections. He has done more than feed me, she said in her mind. He has shown the galaxy that humans can act with kindness, that they can care for life beyond their own needs. I choose him as my bonded guardian. The council gasped. Bonded guardian? One lawyer whispered. This is unprecedented. Yes, Virexa continued. Elias is the first human I have trusted fully. He has proven his heart. From this moment forward, his voice will carry weight in matters that concern my people. And the galaxy will know that humanity is capable of compassion, not just conquest. Elias felt a mix of awe, fear, and pride. He looked up at the dragon, now fully standing in her ancient strength. I don't know what to say, he whispered. I'm just me. I didn't do anything special. Virexa lowered her head gently toward him. What you did is special because it comes from the heart. Your actions matter more than you realize. You have changed how the galaxy will see your kind. The council and the watchers recorded everything. Ships hovered silently, observing the bond forming between human and dragon. The decision was clear: humanity had passed the test of kindness, patience, and respect. Elias spent the night beside Virexa, talking softly as the stars shone above. He told her stories of Earth, of sunrise skies, and of simple human courage. She listened, sharing memories of the old galaxy, of wars fought and peace won. Though they came from different worlds, a deep connection formed, one that bridged centuries, species, and galaxies. By morning, the hangar no longer felt like a place of shadows and dust. It felt like a home. The council projected a final message to Elias. You are now recognized as the first human bonded to a dragon sovereign. Your actions will be remembered. You will help guide the galaxy toward understanding and trust. Elias smiled, looking at Virexa. I just wanted to help you, he said softly. She rumbled in reply, a sound full of warmth and approval. The council's ships slowly disappeared into the sky, leaving Elias and Virexa alone. But Elias now knew that what they had started together was bigger than themselves. His simple acts of kindness had shifted the view of an entire galaxy. And as the sun rose over the frozen mountains, Elias reached out and touched Virexa's massive head. We'll do this together, he whispered. The dragon lowered her head in agreement, her glowing eyes full of hope and trust. For the first time in centuries, Virexa was no longer a forgotten dragon, and Elias was no longer just a human. Together they were a bond that could change the stars. The sun rose slowly over the frozen mountains, spilling gold and pink light across the hangar. Elias woke as usual, carrying his basket of food, though today his steps felt different. There was a calm in the air, a quiet sense that something had changed. Virexa, the dragon, was already awake, her massive head raised, eyes glowing softly in the morning light. She watched him closely, as if waiting for him to realize what he had done. Elias smiled and placed the food on the ground. Good morning, he said softly. I brought your breakfast. Virexa nudged the basket, then leaned her head closer to him. Elias scratched behind her ear, feeling the warmth of her scales. You're strong, old girl, he said quietly. Stronger than anyone thinks. Far above the hangar, the alien council had returned. They hovered in their ships, observing the bond between human and dragon. The lawyers whispered among themselves. He has passed all the tests, one said. He has shown kindness, patience, and understanding. He is worthy of recognition. Virexa's voice entered Elias's mind, soft but commanding. The galaxy has judged you human. Your actions show that your kind is capable of more than fear or greed. You have chosen compassion over convenience, patience over power. For this I choose you. Elias froze, unsure what to say. Me? You mean all of this is because of what I did? He whispered. The dragon lowered her head near him. Yes, she said in his mind. You have proven that a single human can make a difference. That one act of kindness can change the view of an entire species. You have changed the galaxy. Elias felt a wave of awe and humility. I only fed you. I only tried to help, he said. I never thought it would matter so much. It matters, Virexa replied. Because you acted without expecting reward. You acted because it was right. That is what the galaxy needed to see. The council projected their images again. Elias, human, said the leader, voice echoing across the hangar. Your actions have proven that humanity is capable of care, compassion, and wisdom. You are recognized as bonded to Virexa, the last dragon sovereign. Your influence will guide our decisions, and your example will be remembered across the stars. Elias looked at the dragon. Bonded, me? He said softly. Virexa rumbled, leaning closer, her massive head brushing against his shoulder. Yes, she said in his mind. Together we will help the galaxy see that humans can be more than conquerors. That they can be friends, guardians, and allies. For the first time in centuries, Virexa rose fully to her full height. Her wings stretched wide, her scales glimmering in the sunlight. She had been chained and forgotten for so long, but now she stood as she had once in her prime, strong, proud, and radiant. Elias felt both small and honored beside her. The council watched in silence, recording the moment. Elias did not care about their approval. He only knew that the dragon beside him trusted him, and that their bond meant more than any title or honor. Days passed, and news of their bond spread across the galaxy. Human colonies began building sanctuaries for creatures once feared or ignored. Diplomats reached out to learn from Elias and Virexa. Scientists came to study the dragons not as weapons but as intelligent beings. And everywhere humans told the story of the man who fed a forgotten dragon and, in doing so, changed the stars. One night, Elias sat beside Virexa under the open sky. The stars shone cold and bright, but he felt warmth in his chest. "I never imagined anything like this," he whispered. Virexa rumbled softly in reply. "You do not need to imagine. You only needed to act. That is how the stars can change, through small acts repeated with heart." Elias reached out, resting his hand on her massive head. "I just wanted to help you. I didn't know it could mean so much." "You helped more than me," Virexa said in his mind. "You helped the galaxy see the best of humanity. You reminded us that kindness can be stronger than fear, that patience can be stronger than power. And that is how worlds are changed." The alien council ships slowly disappeared into the night sky, leaving Elias and Virexa alone. But Elias now knew their actions were no longer private. They had started something bigger than themselves. Their bond would be remembered in stories, in lessons, and in the decisions of the future. Elias looked at the dragon, her glowing eyes reflecting the stars. "We'll do this together," he whispered. "We'll make sure no one else is forgotten." Virexa rumbled, leaning into him. For the first time in centuries she was not just a dragon. She was a symbol of hope. And Elias, once a simple human feeding a lonely dragon, had become a symbol of what humans could achieve: courage, kindness, and a heart capable of changing the stars. As the night deepened and the winds whispered across the mountains, Elias and Virexa remained together, watching the stars. And in the quiet, frozen world at the edge of human colonies, the galaxy itself seemed to pause and listen. A human had fed a dragon. A dragon had trusted a human. And in that simple act, the future had begun. The stars, vast and endless, shone brighter that night. Not because of power or war or conquest, but because one human had chosen kindness,